Hi, everybody. We
Hello.
are Beyond Fertility with Corrine Baker and Robin Calabrese, and we are so excited to talk to you about week 2 of your menstrual cycle. Last week, we really talked about, phase 1, which is your menstrual phase, which is 1 through 5. And this week, we are talking about follicle 2 of your phase 2 of your menstrual phase, which is the follicle phase. What is the follicle phase? And it's like we're going to explain today what it is, different foods that work well with you, different treatments that can help you during this phase, how it works with ovulation, how it works with fertility, and how it works with overall reproductive health. And remember to click, share, and help women around the world understand their reproductive health better. And email us with any questions that you have. We just so you know, we do not give medical advice over email or phone, but I said we can help guide you to people who could be in your area for you. So let's talk about follicles. I'm so excited.
This is the fun phase before we get into ovulation. So a lot goes on in this phase. It's amazing. It's an energy phase. It requires a lot of energy to get these follicles to mature an egg. So it's a difficult time here for these eggs if they don't have a lot of energy. So we're gonna share some things that's happening with your body and what needs to happen to really produce a lot of energy to mature that egg that can possibly lead to a baby.
I know you just came off your menstrual cycle, and so usually this is a time of rest because within Chinese medicine, in order to prepare for menstrual phase, you have your external body reverting inward in order to have the energy to eliminate your lining, and then your body immediately switches from internal to external, so you have more of the external energies in order to function in everyday life. Well, this is also an area where your digestive system, your reproductive system, your lymphatic system, all the systems take a step back and try to regroup and repair during this time. This is also the time in your cycle where you have just finished menstruation and you have not ovulated yet, that if you are doing natural family planning, or this is a time where you cannot get pregnant. So for people who are usually trying to plan, who have issues with birth control, who have issues with other things, during this time in your cycle, there is no egg, so there is no chance of, sperm meeting egg and other things like that. Mm-hmm. So that is also good to know for families and couples and women who are tracking their cycle, if they are trying to either space out their children or they're trying to figure out what your next steps are. This is the time where there's nothing that can happen, but also it's a time of rest, because during this time we really want to rest our body, as Corrine mentioned, have the energy in order to help those follicles mature. Mm-hmm. Because the stage in ovulation is when all of that hard work came in, and it usually is about what happens during this phase. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different things. It starts on day about 13 of your cycle, or just, excuse me. It's about 13 days in your cycle. So if your cycle is from day 1 to 5, the follicle stage probably starts 6 to 11 if we are basing everything on a 28-day cycle. Mm-hmm. Now, I know some of you guys may have cycles that are, 28 days, 35, 42, 52. You will just lengthen these out. And I said, because that's why it's very important to track. And I'm sure Corrine can bring in, there's so many different apps and ways to truly track your cycles, to give you a lot of tips to help you during these phases as well. So you're not going through this alone. Right. Oops, there we go. Sorry, you were working at it. There's a number of follicles at work, and I said the follicle phase does end upon menstruation. Upon ovulation. Right. And so I said, when ovulation is present, that is when all that time and energy that you've used to rest during this time helps to move forward. Yeah. You also want to promote, the pituitary gland releases FSH. You have the hormones that stimulate the ovarian, and about 20 follicles or tiny cysts, which are that can start to happen on day 3 of the menstrual cycle. Yeah. Do you have any direction? I feel like,
and some women
this today,
and some women may have less follicles that they during that time. But at the end of the day, all you need is one. All you need is one mature, healthy egg to get you to the finish line of a baby. So don't be discouraged if you're not able to produce 20 or a large amount of follicles. As long as you can get one healthy egg, one healthy follicle, One healthy egg, you're fine. Of course, the more the better, because then you have more options, more to pick from. It's like eggs in the basket, you know. So you just want them to be healthy, though. That's the goal.
And even for the mommies who are going through IVF as well, you know, when they talk about, when you hear the terms of the maturation of how many follicles you've gotten and different things like that, you know, some people can get one, some people can get up to 18. I've heard of people getting to up to 25, depending on what is going on. So this is the phase that you want to take care of. And there's a lot. And as we continue going through this, you will know foods to eat. Definitely, you know, again, rest during this time. I mean, I feel like we're always telling women to rest. I feel like we should take, you know, maybe a cue. Maybe we should.
A little bit, because really this is like an energy phase, and those follicles need so much energy to be able to mature. So you don't want to exert yourself. This is a time where you have to store energy, because it's taking a lot more energy from you to actually get that egg to mature. That follicle to grow, you know, and get that egg to mature into, you know, a dominant egg. So that's what you want. And so you want to really take your time with that. And follicle stimulating hormone, you know, there's tests where they can test that to see, you know, what your levels are. Is your body actually stimulating the ovaries to release an egg, you know, and that is some things that they test for at the fertility clinics. And we also have testing that we can do as well to check to see, you know, what's happening with your ovaries and the pituitary gland. Are they making the connection so that they can stimulate the ovaries to be able to grow those follicles and release the egg? And like I said, they do those tests in-house. It's a simple blood draw, and they can test for that. But definitely during this time, you know, there's a lot going on in the body, because during this 1 week, you know, the body's preparing itself, trying to grow it, the follicles to grow and mature the egg. So, you know, your estrogen levels are rising. Everything is changing during this week. But it's a great time, because it's showing you, you know, that your body's actually being preparing itself for conception, if that happens.
And I said, you know, there's a lot of like hormone changes that happen during this time. I mean, you've definitely mentioned the FSH, you know, we're also dealing with estradiol. And so it's like, you know, if you go to either your primary care or you go to an internal medicine doctor, and they may want to test your hormones so that they understand. So as you start to understand, as you go into fertility side, if these levels are low in any ways, this could be affecting the follicle phase of your cycle, which means that you have low production of follicles, or if you are doing IVF or even natural, that the follicles are not maturing fast enough so that they are not viable in order for sperm to meet egg. And so if there is implantation, there may be a miscarriage. There's different things that happen. So truly understanding your blood work during this phase, and usually your doctors, and including in our office as well, or if you have someone working with, we will run normal hormone patterns for you just to kind of find out where you're at. And it's just to give basic guidelines and understanding because even as women, you know, even at the start of menarche, which anywhere could be 12 to 14 to, you know, menopause, which could anywhere between 50 to 65, you're going to have different levels and fluctuating. And I'm sorry, ladies, stress does affect it. You know,
just like it affects everything else in the body, it does. So this is a time where you cannot stress, you know, really take time to relax and just prepare your body so that it can do its job. It doesn't need the additional stress factor on top of it.
The cool thing about estradiol is that it also can help dampen down the effects of adrenaline and cortisol. And so it can also play a part in creating a happy mood, you know, and so during this time. So, and they've said it for every disease and everything like that, the more happy you are, the more you smile, the more you laugh, your immunity is better, everything is better. And so the more happier you can be about this time and controlling your emotions, you'll be able to have a better idea of how your hormones are affecting you at different phases of your menstrual cycle.
Absolutely. And it's also a time also where, you know, higher estrogen levels also. So your body's going to start to change, and you may notice even changes in your cervical mucus. And so you want to pay attention, because what you're really looking for is you want to get to that egg white, slippery type of cervical mucus. And it's pretty much like an egg. If you crack an egg and that, you know, that white, clear liquid stuff comes out, that's what you're looking for, or think of like aloe. It's kind of like that, and that's what you're looking for because that's sperm friendly. That's prime environment for the sperm. So you're looking for that even starting with this phase, but have that slippery discharge, and you may start to notice that. And we'll cover that in another topic and go through the different stages of cervical mucus and what to look for and what they mean. We'll talk about that another time.
And I said, and going back through this is probably one of my favorite phases, just because one, if you are trying not to get pregnant, you can't, but it gives you a really good idea of where your hormone levels are. And it can help guide you through the rest of your cycle and definitely even going into perimenopause and menopause. And I said, even though we're at Beyond Fertility, a holistic approach, we're trying to help you get pregnant, to give you information, but it's also understanding that if we deal with issues that happen in menstruation, it helps perimenopause and menopause symptoms not be so abrupt and not have issues as you get older, the osteopenia and different types of vitamin deficiencies and things like that. So if we start to take care of these issues now, you can start to notice. Now, it doesn't seem like maybe there's a lot going on externally during this time, meaning, if there's menstruation, obviously there's bleeding, we're taking care of it. If there is ovulation, there's different things that are happening within our body that we can see. And even during PMS, there's different things. But again, this is kind of like where the body is taking everything internal. Your body is just truly concentrating on what is going on in the ovaries. And so anywhere now, if you have cysts and different things like that, this might be a time that this would actually aggravate. Some women tend to have, sensitivity during this time. It could be, you may start to notice a rise in acne, maybe not as much as during ovulation and PMS, but you could start to see, and the type of acne is very important. Is it cystic? Is it topical? Is it productive? Is it not productive? And again, going with the FSH hormones and the estradiol and estrogen and different things like that are going on, what is your skin health like? Is it really dry during this time? Is this telling you that, and is it really dry? Is it really damp? Is it itchy? This is all telling you what is going on truly internally within your system. Because how a plant works, and this is the best analogy that it goes, when you look at a seed and it grows all of its roots first before it even pushes itself up through the soil. And so if all that stuff, if your root system, which is your reproductive system, is not getting the nutrients that it needs, it's not going to be able to produce another seed.
Right.
So, oh goodness, what's happening?
Because you really want to nurture your body during this time. And they say when they say you need energy, it's really, you got to be mindful of the things that you're eating and doing, because it's taking a lot of energy from you to really mature that egg. So you have to really be mindful of the things that you're being exposed to, whether it's toxins and everything else, because you don't want to deplete your body at this point. You just came through menstruation, so now is a time for rest for yourself and storing up that energy to allow your body to do its job effectively.
And so I'm going to ask you a question, Kareem. So how long is the follicle phase?
Well, on average, you're looking at about probably around 16 days. But it can vary because most women don't have a typical 28-day cycle. Okay, because some women have longer cycles, some have shorter cycles. And so that will vary from woman to woman. Especially if you have like irregular cycles, PCOS, this can all affect it and make it a lot longer. And we're getting into like longer cycles. Longer cycles can be also associated with PCOS. A lot of times women don't ovulate. So with the cysts and the ovaries and stuff, it makes it harder, hormonal changes. So things change when that happens, which can mean that your cycles can be very irregular or absent. And therefore, you may skip phases, or they can be so long that your body doesn't even get to have a real follicular phase. And also, if it's too short of a phase, then you can be in what's called like a perimenopausal state. So it's like there's two different sides. And so the goal is always to try to get you balanced, so you're more in the middle and you're balanced. and you can have a more regular cycle. And acupuncture and herbs is, great for that.
Oh, these are great for pelvic health, and if you truly coming from a TCM standpoint, and TCM stands for traditional Chinese medicine, it's like you take different herbs going through your cycle. And what Karina's talked about before is also different teas that can happen during your cycle too. So I said taking different herbs, taking that, giving your body what it needs, but it's also understanding, different vitamins as well. And a question we get a lot, how does birth control affect my cycle, and different things. And a birth control can make your follicle phase longer, and it can also create, low vitamin D levels.
Right.
Well. And so it's like, this is when it's very important to help to make sure that your vitamin D levels are where they're supposed to be. Not only, it's been proven for mental and emotional health, as well as skin health and cardiovascular health and everything. How important vitamin D is, but it's also very good for pelvic and pelvic health, as well as reproductive health as well, making sure your levels are good. And like Karine spoke about before, it's a quick, easy little blood test. It's a little finger prick that you just do, and you can find out where your vitamin D levels are. I am a testament to vitamin D levels, because I couldn't figure out what was going on. I'm like, I'm exercising, I'm taking vitamins. What is the deal? And I was waking up stiff. I was having headaches. A normal person for my age, you want to be anywhere between in the 30s for, vitamin D. I was at an 18. I was so low, and it took me about a year to get my vitamin D levels back where they were supposed to be. So during that time, and this is also very good for reproductive health and fertility health, so that if you know that your vitamin D levels are low, it's a good time to really balance your body out even before trying to conceive a child, either via IVF or natural or whatever works for you, because then you know that you are getting the most prime, that those follicles were nourished enough, even as simple as vitamin D. I know it's crazy that it's one thing, but it sometimes can be just one simple thing.
It's so true, because I myself, so you have vitamin D deficiency, and I think most people are, because most of us work indoors all day. We're not outside. We're not getting, the amount of sunlight that we're supposed to. So most people are deficient naturally. So most need to take a supplement. And it's so important to ask your doctor to check for that for you. Check your vitamin D level, because that is such an important factor also when it comes to fertility and trying to conceive. And like you said, it can be as simple as a vitamin D level being so low that it's not enough energy to help to even get to the ovulation phase or the follicular phase to actually work properly. And something as simple as increasing your vitamin D levels, boom, you may get pregnant naturally.
And men, that goes for you too, because it's not only women. It does take two to create a baby.
Yeah.
And I said, if you want to have viable sperm, so.
Yes. Sperm health is so important as well. It's not always about the women. It's men. You're in this also. So yes, sperm health, definitely vitamin D. And then there's some other vitamins and stuff that are very important as well. Even when you think of like zinc and, all these other things, which are so important with helping with fertility. It's so important to make sure that you have the proper nutrients, minerals, everything that your body needs to support, healthy fertility, reproductive health.
Oh, I'm so excited. So what symptoms could you have during this phase? I know symptoms are always, interesting, because it's like, oh God, what does this mean? Is my arm falling off? It just.
And it's so crazy, because even during this phase, this week, it's not like you would have during your menstruation week. At this point, the mood swings and all that stuff should subside, and your body is pretty much just saying, whew, I'm so glad that week is over.
We survived.
I just need a break. And it's like your body's just like relaxing. It's calming down at this point, and it's smooth sign. It needs a minute. And then it's working hard, and you're more like a happier state. You're more calm. You're not so anxious. You're not PMSing. You should be more relaxed and calmer during this phase. So this is one of the happier phases. And then you're moving along, and then your body's doing its work, and then as you head into ovulation, you start feeling friskier, and things changing, and this is a happy time. So you're preparing to conceive, and that's what this phase is all about.
I love this, but how are we able to, protect ourselves? Because we believe, especially at Whole Fertility and Whole Family Healthcare, that, food is medicine, so what food should you eat? And then what food should you avoid during this phase? You may be feeling more energized. So like going to go work out, doing all this other stuff is going to feel good. You might feel like, hey, I'm running a mile, I'm going to run 2 today. And these are all good things to do during this phase. It's not really good. And going back to phase 1, you want to rest during your cycle. But during this phase, it's like you want to definitely rebuild, who you are. And you're going to have the energy to do that. But what should we also be fueling our system with? And so Kareen has been awesome. And she put together this shopping list. Everybody needs to do, and this amazing shopping list for like, what do you do during your follicle phase? And the list that she put together was salad vegetables, flaxseed, avocado, broccoli, nuts and seeds, probiotics, some fish, and I love this one, actually sardines. I know it sounds horrible, but sardines, especially, they are so good for you during this phase because they are salty, which is tonifying the kidney. They also have all the oil in it, which is helping to soothe the liver and gallbladder. And they just have such a great protein source, which also calms the stomach and, which calms the stomach and spleen. And I said, it's honestly like it's a superfood. And I know people are like, sardines, ugh.
They're great. But I always tell people, be careful which ones you purchase. Make sure that they're wild caught.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make sure that they are caught in the cold ocean.
Yes.
So don't get the ones that are the little cheap brands that are caught, around here or wherever. That's not what you want. You want the ones that have all the omega-3s and the oils and the cold water. So Maine and Alaska, get it from the cold water, wild caught. That's important. Not farm raised.
No.
You don't want that. You want the ones that actually have what you need. And wild caught, cold water salmon is the best.
Oh, it's amazing. And going back to, the omega-3s, it definitely helps to decrease the inflammation. So it helps to improve ovarian aging and egg quality. Yeah. And so again, this is going back to like anchovies and sardines. Yeah. Some of those, all with the other fishes, there's great, but there's something about these small fish that just are so jam-packed. And that have basically everything that you need. Yeah. And I'm sure you can go on, mix in with your list. You can go on with the salad vegetables and you can mix a thing of sardines in it. Now, obviously don't eat it if you thoroughly distaste it, but it is very good for you to promote because it's huge. Food is medicine.
Oh, yes.
That's why when a huge part of our practice is definitely doing food testing because people don't quite understand it. And if you guys grew up like I did, sometimes you just eat what you're served.
Right.
And as a child, it is understandable, our parents do work hard to provide something. And sometimes it's just nice just to have a meal.
Right.
And so, but as you get to be older and an adult, you can start to really kind of break down. And plus, really, we're bulletproof as children. Who cares? You know what I mean? You'll repair fast. But as you get into your teen and adult years, truly understanding, and this is why through each of these phases, we are really promoting, food as medicine is what to eat and what not to eat, because it will help take you farther and you will have less symptoms. Now, remember, our bodies change and they do it in cycles. So it takes 90 days for your body to go through a cycle. So it's usually, 3 period cycles. So 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to a year, you're going to start to notice changes. So just because you decide like, oh, this month I'm going to do this, I'm going to eat sardines, it's something that you're going to have to commit to for at least 3 months.
Yes.
This even goes into supplements and herbs. Now, I don't necessarily talk a lot about specific Chinese herbs because I believe everything is customized. So at least when you come to my practice, and even with Kareen as well, there's a customized herbal form, and because each formula is directed to you. Now, we know with Chinese medicine, it's over 5,000 years old, And there are bases, just like anything. If you bake a cake, you use flour and eggs. If you do this, you do this.
Right.
Just because you have a base doesn't mean that base is always for you. That's why sometimes with the patent formulas, they may work for short term by like clearing out heat or clearing out inflammation or clearing out dampness, multiple different things. And this goes same with supplementation. I mean, we've recommended vitamin D, but again, getting your blood work and truly understanding what goes good for you.
Right.
And multitude of ways to get your blood work so that you have something that's tailored. Just because your aunt's mother, cousin's uncle, said, vitamin C is great.
Yeah.
You already have too much vitamin C in your system. I don't know, so.
And it may not be your need. And, we covered this last time. We always caution, those custom herbs, the over-the-counter herbs that you can get in the bottle, pre-made. They may be great for someone else, but it's not necessarily best for you. Or like Dr. Calabrese said, it may work for a short period of time, but it's not necessarily guaranteed to work all the time to help with your situation. Because along the way, there's something that needs to be changed and tweaked. Because you have to be monitored to ensure that the herbs are working. And if it needs to be changed, then it can be changed. So you want to have them customized because that's the best way for your situation. Because everyone is not the same. And I like that you talked about the premature ovarian aging, and that is such a common thing now, especially if you're a woman who, let's say, in their 40s, and it's even affecting younger women in their 30s, premature ovarian failure, and making it hard for them to conceive. Really pay attention to this phase of your cycle because, like I said, this phase you can do so much. And if you stick to a regimen, you can really help to improve the quality of the eggs. And herbs are outstanding for that, where you can actually improve the quality of those follicles that are going to be coming up every month. You're going to have those follicles. So you can help to improve the quality of those eggs.
And we can go, tracking your cycle and understanding this phase. I was told twice. I was told at 18 and 25 that I could not have children. And at 18, I didn't care. I was 18, who cares? And I had a lot of things that were going on. At 25, I was like, oh,
yeah.
It hits a little harder at home the older you are. Yeah. So if you can start tracking your cycle and understanding these phases, you will start to understand more health, because this goes in. What does every teenager have issues with? They worry about their skin.
Right.
And understanding when acne or rosacea or eczema or psoriasis or whatever happens, and you base it through your menstrual cycle, you can start to notice what hormones are causing you issues. And then going back to shopping lists and going back to shopping lists for food and what foods to do.
Right.
Be able to, like, maybe I don't eat at Burger King. Yes, don't eat at Burger King.
Yeah. Really, you have to make a lifestyle change when you're doing anything that's going to be natural. These herbs and supplements, you definitely have to make a lifestyle change, because that is so important, because you want to give the herbs the best environment to work in. So you don't want to feed it a bunch of junk, caffeine, alcohol, sugars, and make the herbs have to work twice as hard. It's really going to be defeating the purpose. So give the herbs and supplements the best environment to work in. That way they can work for you.
And the more they work for you, and this is the cool thing about Chinese herbs and supplementations, is that how they work within the body is that they actually direct themselves to the organ system. And so if your organ system is deficient in any way because of the food you're eating, it's not going to absorb. So that's just piggybacking off what Karina already said.
Yeah.
So what activities are best? I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. Exercise, working out.
Sex during this time,
Yeah. Why not? I mean, get started already.
I know.
So yeah, definitely more intensive workouts and everything's great. Getting the body moving and getting active. Great, because you're going to be feeling great, working out. Why not? Do all kinds of workouts.
And I said, it's very good. This is a great time to do sauna during this time to kind of detox from anything that was happening during that phase. And also you'll start to notice that's why, even if you do, IVF cycles and you understand, it's like sometimes detoxing during this phase as well will really start to help you out for the next cycle, going in, and so that you can understand different questions on how to boost those times.
Right. And detox. I love a detox because especially if you're going through IVF, my gosh, the amount of hormones that they inject into you. I mean, your body is already just like enough already. And so that's why some people don't even respond well to the meds. I mean, it's so much. And then your hormones, your body just doesn't even know what to do. Some respond well, some don't respond well. And I think a lot of it's just the hormones is just so much, and everyone's body is not built to handle the amount of hormones. And so, you definitely want to detox at some point and flush all of that stuff out and really work on getting your body to an optimal state.
And I said, if your bodies aren't responding to the follicle phase of this with all of the hormones that they're putting in your system, that should also be telling you that you're deficient in some way, that it's not doing it. Now, IVF is supposed to be able to promote the follicle phase, but if you're still not getting everything that you need out of this phase and they're just doing the hormones, then taking a step back versus doing another cycle, really try to, with diet, Chinese herbs, acupuncture, abdominal massage, those sort of things to help, nourish the root, so that either at this time, this can also de-stress, bring your adrenaline and cortisol levels down, bring more happy moods. You actually start enjoying your partner again. You may conceive naturally, but if not, and then you choose to do IVF again, or IUI, or whatever you're doing, you will start to notice that you will have better results because you are not in a panic state. Right. And just because in mentally and emotionally, when you're in a panic state, your body seizes and clamps down. And that's why there's, can be trouble. That's why having the extra hormones in your system can cause other types of, mood swings and different things like that. Mood swings, weight gain, skin conditions, joint pain, multitude of different things.
Right. And I've actually had, doctors are sending patients and they're telling them, you need to relax. So doctors are calling and they're telling me, okay, I want to come in for treatments because my doctor said I need to relax.
I need to relax.
It's so true. It's like it's a stressful time, and so especially if you're doing the IVF, and they just want you to really take a step back and relax because it makes it harder for your body and even for the IVF treatments. When you're under an overwhelming amount of stress, so you definitely want to step back and relax, and we can help you with all of that. Just reach out to myself or Dr. Calabrese, and we can help you relax and get through your IVF journey or your natural conception journey.
And I said, it's both ways, and we neither, whichever way you've chosen, I said, that's going to be awesome because all it is the end game about how you slide into home. What gets you to that little baby.
That's all. So that is absolutely the goal, the ultimate goal for everyone involved is to have a healthy baby.
A very, very healthy baby. And so we are excited. And if you want to be a guest with us and ask questions and understand a little bit more about fertility, or if you were in the fertility industry and you want to just have, a powwow with us, we really want to know, email us at beyondfertility2@gmail.com.
Yeah. And we'll be glad to chat with you and get you on one of our segments and really discuss this with someone who's actually going through, trying to conceive and maybe you want some answers. We won't be getting into depth about your actual medical history or anything like that, but just maybe sharing your experience with others, help others to see that, hey, I'm not alone. There's someone else like me who's out there experiencing the same thing. And we'll love to have you.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And don't forget to email us, and you can find us on Facebook. You can Facebook message us and also Instagram as well. And you can also find these videos on YouTube. As we really start to, do this, there's many different ways to contact us and just to get more information and about your health, and we can help guide you. And if you are in another state, you're not located here in Florida with Karina and I, we can also help guide you to other practitioners who would be able to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And please, like and share the videos because you just never know who is dealing with this in silence and who has no support or they don't know what to do next. So, please like and share the video, share it with others. because like I say, you just never know. There's a lot of women out here who are literally going through this alone and they don't know what to do next. And they should never have to be alone. So please like, share, get them in contact with us, and we are here to help support them on this journey.
Hi guys, thank you very much. We're Beyond Fertility, a holistic approach with Corrine Baker from Hope Fertility and Dr. Robin Calabrese with Whole Family Healthcare. Look forward to next week for phase 3.
That's right. Ovulation. Bye-bye.
Bye.